travel news.
We have the famous travel blogger John Haynes with us. John, we hear a lot about Tokyo being overcrowded these days and not much about Nagoya. You've spent a lot of time in both cities. Tell us, which one do you think our viewers would prefer?
Well, thank you, Nancy, and that's a great question, and I'm glad to help your viewers out. Now, everyone has heard of Tokyo, and most everybody starts their visit to Japan there. However, if they overlook Nagoya, they're missing out. So allow me to take a few minutes to compare the two cities. We'll look at the ease of getting around, historic sites, museums, the day trips from these two cities, cost, and we'll talk about the crowds. And by the end of this video, your viewers are going to have a much better understanding of which place they should visit and why. So let's go check out these two mega cities.
Tokyo is massive, covering more than 800 square miles on the mainland and with the city limits actually extending way out into the Pacific Ocean to an island chain. Tokyo's rail and subway stations can be enormous and enormously confusing places, especially when you venture underground. You can walk miles during a day without realizing it simply by going through these large stations and their attached shopping districts. Stations such as Shinjuku, Shinagawa, Ikebukuro, Umeda, and Tokyo Station each transport millions of passengers each day. Yes, each day. Add to that all the private lines as well as JR lines, and it can get really confusing. As many times as we've been through Tokyo Station, we still get turned around. As for Nagoya, it has one major station, which is of course Nagoya Station, ranking 7th busiest in Japan. But it also has a couple of private rail lines and subways, which all emanate or come through Nagoya Station. In general, Nagoya Station is pretty straightforward to navigate, despite it being physically the largest station in Japan, if not the entire world. It's just that it is laid out very logically, and with several key landmarks, you won't get easily lost. So which has the better local trains and subways? Well, both are safe, clean, and punctual, but I have to give Nagoya a slight nod only because there is less opportunity to get confused, as there are only 87 subway stations to Tokyo's 282. Now, does that mean Nagoya's are better? Nah. It just means Nagoya is easier to navigate on the rails. Both cities have numerous historic sites, however the one you'd most likely want to visit in Tokyo is pretty much off limits to the public. That is the Imperial Palace. Aside from this classic fortress of a structure, there isn't a castle in Tokyo. In fact, due to massive bombing during World War II, large sections of Tokyo were destroyed, and along with it, the classic neighborhoods and historic sites, so that much of the history starts with the reconstruction after the war. This in itself is mesmerizing and worthy of mention, such as the Meiji Jingu or Sensoji Temple in Asakusa. By comparison, Nagoya has not one but two castles, the large and impressive Nagoya Castle and Palace, as well as the smaller Kiyosu Castle. Much like Tokyo, Nagoya was heavily targeted during World War II, so the original castles were destroyed, but in Nagoya you have two impressive reconstructions to enjoy. But in addition to these two castles, on the edge of Nagoya is Inuyama Castle, one of only 12 original castles remaining in Japan, dating back to the 1500s. Both cities have numerous significant shrines and temples. In our opinion, it is somewhat of a draw between the two cities when it comes to historic sites. The Japanese love their museums. Even smaller towns in the country will often have a museum of some sort, and they're often very well done facilities. Tokyo, of course, has dozens upon dozens of museums and galleries. Some of the finest in Japan are located in Tokyo, including the Mori Art Museum, the Tokyo National Museum, and the Edo Tokyo Museum. But Nagoya has the Tokugawa Art Museum, featuring thousands of artifacts from one of Japan's most famous shogun, Tokugawa Ieyasu. Then there's the Toyota Commemorative Museum, the Noritake Museum, and the SC Maglev Museum. You will not run short of museums in Nagoya if that's all you want to see. As for winter, well, both have equally impressive museums, but I have to give Tokyo the nod as there are simply more of them. If you're enjoying this video, please click the like and subscribe buttons. It's free and you won't get on any mailing list, but it's very important in helping us produce more videos. We post a new one every Saturday, so check back then. Due to its sheer size, what constitutes a day trip from central Tokyo can take quite a while to get there. Regardless, there are two trip destinations that are absolutely outstanding ways to spend a day while in Tokyo. The first example will likely surprise most visitors, as it simply isn't widely known. It's the Edo Tokyo Open Air Architectural Museum. No, this isn't just about architecture. It's a very large outdoor park in Saitama featuring around 30 authentic buildings from the Edo, Meiji, Taisho, and Showa eras of Japan. There's not a better one-stop location for you to discover 300 years of history in a day. The other very popular day trip is to Hakone and the Five Lakes region near Mount Fuji. The Hakone Open Air Museum is located on the mountainside at the Gora train stop and is a world-class sculpture and landscape museum featuring the works of Picasso and others. There's the amazing Tower of Glass you can explore, the Woods of Net exploration pod, and even a sunken maze which young and old alike will enjoy. Continuing on from there, you can take the cable car to the top of the mountain. This is a very popular destination, so just be prepared for the crowds. After ascending several hundred feet, you take the ropeway higher up, and as you crest the mountain, you are confronted with a scene out of Dante's Inferno. The heart of the mountain exposes itself with volcanic geothermal vents spewing sulfur fumes. It's an amazing sight to behold for sure. The ropeway continues further down the other side of the mountain to Lake Ashi, where you can hop aboard a, quote, pirate ship and sail over to the town. In contrast to Hakone, Nagoya offers Magome as an excellent side trip. Magome is one of the few remaining post towns dating back hundreds of years, and it offers you a most delightful walk through the authentic pedestrian-friendly street. Magome is on the old Nakasendo Trail, which connected Kyoto to what was then called Edo and now Tokyo. Towns like this provided a rest stop and provisions for travelers, as well as a way for the shogun to keep track of who's traveling here and there. But today it features numerous shops offering local goods and wares, 2 museums, and numerous restaurants inside former Edo homes to enjoy. And it's only an hour and a half by train or bus from Nagoya. Meiji Mura Village outside Nagoya provides an authentic glimpse into the life of Japan from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. This outdoor village allows you to walk through nearly 70 original buildings and structures situated on a 250-acre park, complete with its own classic bus and steam train for getting around. This amazingly high-quality outdoor museum is certainly equal to the Edo Tokyo Open Air Architectural Museum. From Nagoya Station, Meiji Mura is just an hour by train plus a 25-minute bus ride. Therefore, both Tokyo and Nagoya offer visitors great proximity to day trip activities, so therefore I consider it a draw.
So when it comes to costs, I don't have hard data to support one city over the other. However, we have our personal experience, and from that, we consider Nagoya to be a slightly less expensive place for the tourists. Now, hotels tend to be a little more expensive in Tokyo, as well as some of the popular tourist sites, as well as higher-end restaurants. But you can still get around about the same price in terms of subway costs, that sort of thing. So, in terms of costs, we tend to favor Nagoya.
You've undoubtedly heard about the crowded Tokyo subway, and while it's true that is typically during rush hour and not the norm, regardless, there is no denying that Tokyo is overrun with tourists in the most popular places. By comparison, even Nagoya's most popular spots are seldom crowded day or night, such as the Sky Promenade or Legoland. The same is generally true about all of Nagoya, as it has long been labeled as a manufacturing hub and not very good for tourists. Well, that is a big misconception, but use it to your advantage, because the point here is that in order to enjoy one's trip to Japan, visiting places that are less crowded will absolutely enhance your experience. Therefore, in terms of crowds, Nagoya is the clear winner.
So after traveling around, exploring the historic sites, museums, day trips, and keeping in mind the cost and the crowds, we lean a little more toward Nagoya. Yes, there are more things to see and do, museums in Tokyo, but how many museums can you really see in one visit? But regardless of the city, you are the winner if you include both Tokyo and Nagoya. However, we're all about finding the lesser known hidden gems of Japan, and in our opinion, Nagoya is exactly that. So check it out on your next trip.
Be sure to watch our other videos on places such as Kobe with its amazing waterfront, or the incredible Otsuka Museum of Art and the old castle town of Izushi, and send us an email with your questions or comments. And until next time, sayonara!